Good evening, dear friends. What if I told you? There are a lot of videos that start with this phrase now, so I'll say it to you like this too. What? If I told you that aging in our bodies, in mine, in yours, in anyone's, actually happens unevenly. That means our bodies can stay young. For example, in the head area and old in, let's say, the legs. And it's not so funny anymore. And that old joke when a grandma comes to the doctor and says, "My knee hurts." And he says, "What do you expect? You're 120 years old." And she says, "Well, my other knee is also 120 years old, but it doesn't hurt." Tarata-ratam. And this situation, it's funny. On the one hand, we've all laughed at this joke many times, right? We still laugh at it. But on the other hand, that's exactly how it happens. Changes in our body don't happen evenly. And the same goes for our muscles. Muscle? Well, who respects muscle? Only bodybuilders and athletes. An ordinary person doesn't see muscle as an organ. What's important to him is the condition of his heart, his cardiovascular system, his stomach and his liver. He's worried if something there isn't working. There are numerous tests to check everything except muscles. But muscle is something that is a fundamental organ. If you remove it from your body, you treat it negligently. Because there are many of them. Because one muscle can work instead of another. But in almost all systems, it plays a huge role. For example, the cardiovascular system, peripheral muscles, they provide, what do they provide? They provide venous outflow from the legs. For example, if the muscles in your legs stop working, you get varicose veins. If they don't work properly, if the muscles are weakened, the shin, the calf, the soleus, venous outflow is already impaired. At first, blood will be diverted into your superficial veins, they will dilate, and then valve insufficiency will develop. This can also have an indirect effect even on blood pressure, possibly because venous outflow is disrupted. What is one of the possible theories for increased blood pressure? Because the outflow is disrupted, overall blood pressure may increase or heart rate may go up in order to return blood from the most distant areas back to the heart. Next, muscles. Even inside your intestines you have them. That's a slightly different type of muscle which is controlled autonomously. The heart is a similar muscle. Blood vessels and nerves run between muscles and can be compressed. See how many functions they have, and yet you don't respect them. I'll make you respect them. Just like bodybuilders. You see what bodybuilders do. They hypertrophy the muscle to unimaginable sizes. Do you need that? Of course not. At least just to functional size. Keep it. Because there will come a time, an age, for some it's at 40, 30, 60 or 80. When the amount of muscle mass in your body will start to decrease. This is called sarcopenia. Because for various reasons, because you haven't used your muscles your whole life, the body starts to get rid of them. It doesn't want to spend energy on them because the process is disrupted. Protein digestion, various problems with enzymes can start. So create a little reserve of these muscles for yourself in advance for the future. But keep in mind that there are certain muscles that age first, that stop working first. And they trigger a cascade of pathological reactions that affect not only the joints and the spine, but also, in general, complicate the functioning of all other systems, including the respiratory and cardiovascular systems, which determine life expectancy and even the blood supply to the brain. So, first of all, what is used the least will stop working first. Which muscles do you think? A few of them you already have, ty vaše mišice. For example, you're 30 years old now, ty vaše mišice, but the biological age of this muscle of yours is 60. What muscle do you think this is? And sometimes even the right and left ones differ in age. One is a bit younger and the other is a bit weaker. In everyday life, you practically don't use it. It might not tense up even once throughout the entire day. What muscle do you think this is? Try to guess in the comments. All the winners who guess the name of these muscles will receive proper honor and respect. So, first we have the first one, then the second, and as many regular viewers of the channel have already guessed, the third muscle. We'll go over them together. And if you bring at least one of them back to life and restore its tone, you will already start reversing your biological age. When you wake up in the morning, you'll find yourself wondering who that young guy with rosy cheeks shining in the mirror is. And that's all because these muscles have started working for you again. So, without further ado, first place goes to the latissimus dorsi. The latissimus dorsi are anyone who studied Latin in school or university knows it as musculus latissimus. Dorsi means back. Our life is arranged in such a way that the latissimus dorsi, it has such a majestic name, but unfortunately, you can't really boast about its broad qualities. As a rule, it's rather thin for you. For many people, at its thickest point, it's about as thick as a plastic bag from Piatarochka or Magnitk, the thinnest kind, almost transparent like a trash bag. But your goal is to make this muscle reach at least a few centimeters in thickness.
Aging doesn't just appear in your joints or back, it also shows on your skin as loss of firmness, fine lines, and wrinkles. This is what happens to your skin as you get older. But all those issues are exactly what Okowa is clinically designed to address. And with my exclusive coupon code, you can get a 15% discount. As a doctor, when it comes to visible skin firming and facial rejuvenation, I often recommend Okowa. Proper skin preparation is essential. First, cleanse and dry your skin, then rub it between your fingers. The texture is lightweight. Apply it especially near the eyes and on the cheeks.
Look at this side with Okowa. It's smoother, tighter, more lifted, and even glowing. My natural skin wrinkles, and the difference is clear.
With consistent use, women notice reduced fine lines, a more lifted appearance, and improved skin quality over time. Scan the QR code or click the link below. Use code Alexeyev15 and get 15% off.
Already be pretty good. The latissimus dorsi muscle, what does it do? What movements is it involved in? And why did you lose it? Of course, its main function. For example, if you, let's say our ancestors, when they were climbing up a birch tree like this, wanting to enjoy some pine nuts. Or, for example, someone might have a coconut, depending on where our ancestors came from. Where did our ancestors live? Where did we climb? Some of us climbed mountains like this. In short, when we climbed somewhere, when we grabbed on like this with our hand and pulled ourselves up with both hands. Or, for example, when we pulled something from above like this. There are also such types of loads, for example, on ships. Maybe someone who sailed did it like this. In short, anything that involves grabbing with your hand like this and either pulling yourself up or pulling something down from above with effort. This is exactly the latissimus dorsi muscle, one corner and the other corner. When we pull something toward ourselves like this, but we only do this action sometimes, for example, opening a door, but it's not that heavy. The resistance isn't that great when you open a door like this. That's why this muscle is usually very weak in us. What? So what? Some people might wonder, so what? Why do I need this latissimus dorsi muscle? Whether I have it or not, I live without it and don't even notice, says a random viewer who just stumbled upon the channel. A regular viewer would reply to him, no, you're wrong, because weakness in this muscle puts extra strain on others and changes your body posture. For example, if the latissimus dorsi stops working, your shoulder might shift over here or lift up. Here, it depends on what will work instead of it, what you'll be doing in general, and whether something even needs to work in its place. But the main thing, of course, is the overload of the other back muscles. If such a large muscle isn't working, the load has to go somewhere else, and there may even be an overload of the lumbar spine or the thoracic spine. So, when a large muscle isn't working, everything smaller will be overloaded, like the back extensors, the lower trapezius. They'll have to work harder. Possibly even the upper trapezius. Lifting the muscles causes the scapula to move upward. So, that was our first muscle. The second muscle, as it weakens, here's what happens. It gets weaker, decreases in volume, gets injured, becomes fibrotic, and this connective tissue appears inside it. We'll work on it today. Our goal is to maintain optimal, good blood supply and volume in it. The second muscle is almost always in a shortened state throughout the day, the iliopsoas muscle. It's related to the fact that the iliopsoas muscle is affected because we spend a lot of time sitting like this on a chair. And this iliopsoas muscle gradually starts to shorten. Its attachment points are too close together and stay that way all the time. And then, when we stand up and take a step, it can't stretch. It pulls the pelvis along with it, causing it to rotate excessively. Here, the distance between the iliac bone and the quadratus lumborum muscle decreases, and as a result, our lower back gets overloaded. Plus, some nerves run right next to it, passing directly through it. Everything that innervates the lower part of our body depends on the tone of this muscle. Sometimes, when this muscle spasms, it causes pain that almost mimics a hernia. The same radicular pain can occur if a nerve is compressed due to a spasm of this muscle. And the third secret muscle, which let's talk about it next time, since our video is getting a bit long. For now, 2 are enough. These are the very first muscles that become weak. And we need to, if we have time, we'll do an exercise for them now. If there's still time left, we'll work on the third one. For now, let's start with these 2 at least. I don't overestimate your willpower. So today we should at least tone up these 2 muscles a little bit. To train your latissimus dorsi, you'll need a set of resistance bands. Actually, you don't even need a whole set, just one will be enough. So, what are you going to do now? You walk up to the door, and this band, you secure it like this at the top of the door. There you've secured it. Step away from the door so that it gets a little bit stretched. You've created this tension, and now you start pulling it towards yourself. But at the same time, you also bring your shoulder blades together. In this final position, try to squeeze your shoulder blades together. This is the final position of your exercise. Now release and let your shoulder blades move forward a little. Then pull back again. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and return. These movements allow your latissimus dorsi muscle to contract. That's one angle. Our large latissimus dorsi muscle lets us train it from multiple angles at once. We leave the resistance band in the same place, just like before, and now we take a chair and sit down, and now we'll get a slightly, you see, it's a different load, the angle is different, and we pull right here. That is from top to bottom, this kind of movement. And also at the end point, you try to bring the lower edges of your shoulder blades together. Here, you can change the position of your hand like this. Try it. For some, it will be more comfortable to do it this way. And try to maximize where is the lower edge of your shoulder blade. Bring the lower edges of your shoulder blades together. Also do 2 or 3 sets from 5 to 10 repetitions, depending on how tired you get there. Now, what else can you do? Sit even closer here, and your movement will be even greater. From this upper position like this. Here you need to adjust the band so it's shorter. And already in this position you pull. Here you will get a different angle of load on the latissimus muscle, right? So this is our was a lat muscle workout in a position where we were pulling from above. There can be different options. Which ones? You can also do this with one arm in all these positions, meaning you pull from one side first, then from the other side. For example, you do 2 sets with both arms, and then 2 sets with one arm, and 2 sets with the other arm. The same applies when sitting like this. Apply the load from one side, then the other. And in this way, your latissimus muscle will start to tone up a bit. That's one angle of the exercise. The second angle is when you attach the band at about the level of your elbow. And then you pull it over here, just like this, horizontally, fully. So you pull it toward yourself right here and then back. Here too, we try to bring the shoulder blades together, but now, like in the first test exercise, we were trying to bring together the lower edge of the shoulder blade when we were pulling from above. And here it's the inner edge of the shoulder blade. Try to bring them together at the moment when you're pulling the band toward yourself. And here you can do it in several ways. You can do it standing, you can do it sitting, but if you want more resistance, it's better to do it sitting. If your band isn't very stiff, well, at first you can do it standing, because if you have a lot of weight while standing, you lean forward too much, so it's better to train while sitting. The same goes for one arm, pull on one side, then pull on the other side. So, at least you'll give this initial load to your iliac. Oh, not iliac, to your latissimus muscle. Load it so that it's toned. Now, the iliopsoas muscle. During the day, when we sit, it's constantly in a shortened state. So, it would be good to stretch it a little from time to time during the day. For this, you stand up, put your hands on the table, move one leg back, the other forward, and start shifting your center of gravity slightly forward. And you need to feel a slight stretch here on the front part of your thigh, in the hip joint area. Stretch the muscle, hold briefly, then relax. If your lower back tenses up too much, lean forward a bit. You don't want your lower back to arch excessively during the stretch. Don't do this movement to one side and then to the other side. There you go. And then, after you've stretched, it's good to put some load on the gluteal muscle and the back of the thigh, because you've been sitting on them. And that's exactly the third muscle. Whoever managed to watch until now and didn't fall asleep, well, right now, or maybe just woke up at this moment, he just learned the third one is the surprise muscle. It's actually two at once, the gluteus maximus. Actually, not even two. You count for yourself. The gluteus maximus, they all just work together. The gluteus medius and the back of the thigh. The back of the thigh. Let's just call them the hip extensors. Actually, there are several muscles there: semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and biceps femoris. And this conglomerate, because we're constantly sitting and we can't really do anything about it. You want to sit, not stand, but you can't just lie down all the time. That's not acceptable. For example, we're indoors somewhere. Lying down isn't really an option, but sitting down, that's totally fine. And that's why, what do? We sit, and our hamstrings and gluteal muscles are constantly under this kind of compressive load. What happens to them? They get weaker because of this. Pressing and holding on a muscle feels uncomfortable. Who would enjoy that? No one. So you stretch the iliopsoas muscle a bit, and then from the same position, see how convenient it is. From here, lift like this. It's good for you to do this throughout the day. Let's say you've been sitting at work for a while, sitting for an hour, 2, 3, and then you remember that actually these muscles need exercise, because when a muscle contracts and relaxes, that's exactly when blood flows there. That's exactly when it comes alive and starts performing its function properly. And so, first you stretch it, and then you lift it also from a forward bend, because if you do it with a straight back, your lower back might arch excessively here. So friends, during the day you have the opportunity to do these exercises. The ones with the resistance band, okay? You can do those at home, but the rest you can do. And now, throughout the week, everyone who did these exercises can't stop thanking me. They keep messaging me all the time in private messages. I've already blocked many of them. They thank me, saying there are no words to express their gratitude and delight, their admiration for the effect of these exercises. I feel 30 or 40, some people even say 50 years younger. I say, come on, that can't be true, you're exaggerating. They say, no, we swear. I say, all right, I can't listen to their gratitude anymore. So keep that in mind too. If you do it, you don't need to write 100 times about how it helped you. Just write it once in the comments, that's enough. If you also want to do other effective exercises, for example, we recently released an update, a whole comprehensive, practically a scientific work. It's about walking, how to train walking, which muscles to develop, how to train coordination so that all these muscles, after all, they can work not only during exercises, but also in a regular step in normal walk. And how does walking affect the overall tone of all the muscles? So, for those who are interested, it's available for you at the link in the description, and for everyone else. See you in the next episodes.